Shut
Hello, good morning. This is Scott and Caroline again. Welcome back to our channel. We are going to share to you my green card journey.
All right, so this is a good topic, especially during COVID. There are so many obstacles that we had to overcome to get the green card to go through. So we're just going to share our own personal point of view on this, what we had to go through in order for Caroline to get her green card.
We will try to answer some of the most common questions about green card, like how long does it take to acquire a green card, and what are the requirements to acquire a green card, and what are the questions to expect in a green card interview. Yep, so what else? And how long was the interview?
Sure.
Yeah.
So all of that, I'm sure everybody wants to know that kind of stuff, especially if you're going through the naturalization process of coming over here to the United States. And we're just going to be candid with our audience and tell it like it is. So here we go.
Yeah. First, what is a green card? So a green card is officially known as a permanent resident card. It is an identity document which shows that a person has a permanent residency here in the United States. So, and it is formally known as the lawful permanent resident.
Right. We as Americans, we always call it a green card. We will even have jokes about it, even if they're inappropriate. Like you have people that are marrying you only to get a green card. So that is a common statement that is heard in the United States.
And I don't like to hear that.
I don't either.
And to make it easier for you and for me, I divided this topic into four. First is my timeline. The second is the requirements. Number three is
The experience
the
of how it was.
Yeah,
you
and
know,
the
going
fourth
through it.
one are the questions. So first is the timeline. Last year, August 23, I submitted my application for my green card. And then days after that, like August 29 of last year, I received my NOAA 1. NOAA 1 is just a notice that they received my application. And then 2 months after, October 2019, I had my biometrics. Then after biometrics, I waited for so many months. It took a year before I received my notice for my green card interview. So just this year, October 7, 2020, I had my green card interview, and 12 days after, I got my green card. So my waiting time since I submitted my application is 1 year and 2 months.
Yeah, that was frustrating because we had read online that, especially under the Obama administration, this process usually only took maybe a few months, maybe 6.
Yeah.
So we figured out that due to COVID, that really had a huge effect on receiving the green card in a timely fashion. We had a plan and a strategy for her to get her work permit and start working right away, and all of that kind of fell apart when COVID happened. So it is what it is.
Yep, waiting time is 1 year and 2 months.
Yep.
Second topic is the requirements. So requirements, you have to make sure that you can show your government issued ID and your interview notice, and if required, the completed form of I-693 or report of your medical examination and vaccination. If required, a completed form of I-864, affidavit of support with all the documents, supporting documents there, the federal income reports, and W-2 or the certified IRS.
Yeah.
And letters from your employer, your pay stubs, and the most important one, the evidences, like the pictures after your wedding.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, then
Bank statements.
bank statements, joint account,
Yep.
and joint ownership
Yep.
of properties,
Right.
cars, car, house, and bills. So kindly explain that.
So for that, they really want to make sure that financially you are stable, that you're not going to ask the government for financial assistance, that you're self-sustaining, and that you don't really need help. In addition to that, they also want to know that you're serious, that this is not a transaction marriage, that you are really initially invested in each other. So having those joint accounts, if possible, I wanted to include Caroline, for example, on the mortgage of the house and on the car that we bought together. But because she was still new and with COVID and everything going on, and because she was not able to get employment during that time too, financially we could not prove to show that she had adequate income to include her on the loans. So we had to not include that, which I didn't like. But they did accept because of the extenuating circumstances of COVID. They understood. Plus, she was still on our bank account together. We have a joint bank account. If you're in some kind of a weird marriage where it's fraudulent, you're not going to do stuff like that. So
Let me add something.
Sure.
The bank account must be active.
yeah,
Must be active. Do not just make open a bank
Right.
account and you're not using it.
right. You have to be, spending money, going to the grocery store and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, all of that makes sense. So they accepted all of that kind of paperwork. They were happy with that. I do get to talk about how good of paperwork we did during this. Good.
Yeah.
So when we submitted all of our paperwork, the lady looked over everything and we handed her like a truck of paperwork. There was a lot. And she said, "Oh, I remember you did not hire a lawyer, right?" And we said, "No, we didn't need to. We just did all of the paperwork like we were asked to do." And she said that we did such a thorough job that she actually was impressed by the quality of work that we did, that we didn't need to turn in extra documents. Sometimes when people do the paperwork, they miss a document here and there, but we had all of it figured out. We were very thorough. We followed the directions literally to the letter. We had everything that they asked for and saved ourselves like thousands of dollars. And by not hiring a lawyer to do this paperwork, you really can do this without the assistance of a lawyer. I think maybe if you had extenuated circumstances, maybe in your past, maybe you had some legal problems or something like that, then maybe do it. But if you've been a good citizen all of your life and this is a bona fide real marriage, you can do this paperwork without hiring a lawyer.
And I think it's more advantage for us if you will not hire a lawyer, if you are the one who fill up all the documents, because most of the questions during the interview, they got it. It's from the papers that you fill up. So
Yes.
if you are the one who made a who fill up all the documents, you don't have to memorize or to go back to the papers because you already know what's in there.
Right.
The third is the experience before the interview. Your part.
Yes. So when you're going to go in for an interview like this, you're going to go into a federal building. And the government does not mess around, especially with a federal building. They are going to screen you from head to toe to make sure that you're not up to anything inappropriate. Because in our history, in our country, we have had some really dangerous situations happen, and they really pull all the stops out when it comes to security. So You're going to come in. You're going to have to show them your ID. She has to show hers. I got to show mine. They're going to run you. You have to empty out all of your pockets. You got to, just like you're going into an airport. You're going to go through a metal detector. They're going to screen you and make sure that everything is legit and safe, because again, they don't want any funny business going on, especially in a federal building. Once you're through there, then you get checked in. That's just to get through the door. Oh, by the way, COVID was going on during that time too. So do you have any of these symptoms? Answer yes or no. And they are not, well, no, yes or no. It's very direct. I think they did a temperature scan to make sure you don't have a fever, all that kind of stuff. And then you get in, and then you'll get called in. Just go have a seat. You just wait until you're called to go to the back for your interview. And then eventually, I think it took 15 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
I think the lady came back out, said, Scott and Caroline, here you come with me. We follow her into one of the interview rooms. They leave the door open because they can't close it. There's no secrecy going on. They have to have, transparency, and also to keep everybody safe. And then just fast forward, we'll get to the interview questions in a minute. When the interview was over, then we got shuttled out the back of the door, out to the parking lot, and we had to find our car. It was on the other side of the building. But, again, for security reasons, that's how they do things there. So.
And the fourth one is the questions. So if you are waiting for your green card, you can also pause this part and try to answer some of the questions. Questions like, how and when did you meet? Then, do you have a joint bank account? Which bank? What happened to Caroline's first marriage? Please share.
And that was a question asked to me. So I had to know what was going on in her past. So yes, it's important to communicate.
In detail.
Yes. And I'm glad, we have a good marriage. We've shared stuff like that before. So I was able to answer that adequately.
I shared my past to him, and he shared his past to me. And of course, I was asked also what happened to Scott's first marriage. And he was asked about my son. Tell me about Caroline's son. So it was his part, and he shared everything what he knew about about my son Neil. And I was also asked about his kid. Question is, what role do you have in raising Scott's kids? So I think I nailed it.
You did. You nailed it. It's important to let them know that you want to be involved in the kids' lives. If there is a mixing going on with families, you have to demonstrate with examples that you're really committed to the family.
Yeah, that you really care, and to love also the kids of your husband.
Right.
And I was asked also about our wedding.
Was the pastor?
The pastor.
Where did it happen at? When was the date? Who came to the wedding?
How many visitors? Like that.
Another important piece was have a printed wedding book of pictures of the ceremony. That is very good evidence and documentation to show that this is a public event, that it's not a fraud marriage where it's just two people and you're filling out paperwork.
Yeah, and she asked also about the detail. She asked also about the pictures that we gave to her.
Right. Who are these people?
Yeah.
It's important to also have pictures printed ahead of time of the wedding, because you will need to give that as evidence in the documentation. The other questions, these are all the ones where Caroline and everybody that is a good person, no, 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 no. So here are all the kind of questions that they're going to ask. And if, again, you filled out the forms and the documents yourself, you're already going to know all of these answers because they're no-brainers here. So, for example, are you a terrorist? No, I'm not a terrorist. Do you have any criminal, pending things with you on other countries? No, I don't have anything like that.
Do you have a family member who is
right.
a terrorist?
Yeah, do you have a family member that's a terrorist? Do you have a family member that's involved in child trafficking or human trafficking? Are you a drug dealer? Have you ever been involved in prostitution? Have you ever... there are all kind of questions like that. And all of them, it's like, no. And Caroline still has to answer them with dignity and grace. She just can't say... I know. You can't just be like, have you... No. Have you... No. Have you... You have to let her finish the question. You have to think. No, I've never done that. Even if you're in mind, you're like, no, none of these apply to me at all. This is ridiculous, but for the sake of U.S. security and for the record, and you also have to hold up your hand and you have to pledge, I promise to always tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help me, that kind of thing. So it's another one of these ways of making sure you're absolutely telling the truth and to be fair, if they ever catch you, if you've ever said, no, and they come back and they find out you actually did one of those things, they'll take out your whole record and you don't get to come to the country.
Yeah, that's why you have to be honest.
Right.
Honest in answering because they also check our social media.
Right.
They really investigate and check even our social media.
Right. So be aware of all of that. Be honest. Honesty will get you through this whole process. All right. So that's the process. Caroline did get her green card. It did come in the mail, I think 2 weeks after the whole interview happened. Finally, you can breathe a sigh of relief and wait some more because there's still more after this.
Yeah, that's true.
So, the final part of all of that is to get her permanent residency. This is only a temporary one for 2 years. In 2 years, we got to kind of go through this all over again, get all the paperwork filled out, make sure our documentation is in place, all of that. But again, in the end, it's worth it. You're married. She's allowed to be here forever. And I get this wonderful woman. She's mine. All of this is worth it. It's a pain in the butt, but in the end, it's really worth it. So,
yeah.
All right. So that's it for today, guys. I hope that was all worth your time.
Yeah. I hope that is helpful to all of you guys.
And please, of course, like and subscribe to our channel. And more than that, please ask us questions down below. We want to help you with this process.
Yes.
This is so tedious and it will test your patience. But you will get through it. All of us that have been through this process have similar stories and experiences. I assure you that we will help you as best as we can. Just be open and honest and ask those questions. We're happy to help you with that.
Yeah.
All right. So take care, guys. We love you.
Bye.
Until next time. Take care. Bye.